The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia seem hell-bent on forging overt relations with the Israeli regime after decades of apparent bellicosity. In two recent, separate but equally duplicitous moves, the process of normalization is slowly but surely underway. The UAE has invited the Israelis to take part in Expo 2020 Dubai, and the Saudi Kingdom is going to buy Israeli-made missiles. That's while the two countries have no diplomatic relations with Tel Aviv, apparently as an act of protest against the occupation of Palestine. Yet in reality, there has been a growing conflict between the two Arab countries' interests in the Palestinian cause they claim to be the champions of.
الحادث اللي حدث مؤلم جدا لجميع السعوديين.
Although Abu Dhabi has had no diplomatic ties with the Israeli regime from its inception, the Emiratis have publicly invited the Israelis to take part in Expo 2020 World Fair, which runs from October 20th, 2020 to April 20, 2021. According to Tel Aviv-based daily Yedioth Ahronoth, the UAE also intends, as a pilot run, to let Israeli tourists in the Emirates during the Expo season, and if it turns out successful, to leave its doors open to Israeli tourists permanently. Fact check 1. How many visitors are estimated to take part in Expo 2020 Dubai? About 25 million visitors over a period of 6 months. It is now an open secret that the UAE and Israel have had backdoor ties for years. In June 2018, The New Yorker revealed in an expose that the secret relationship between Israel and the UAE can be traced back to a series of meetings in a nondescript office in Washington, D.C. after the signing of the Oslo Accords. The meetings explored the possibility of the UAE buying F-16 fighter jets from the U.S., which are known to be made up of Israeli technology. Fact check 2. Which Arab country has allowed Israel's so-called national anthem to be played on its soil? The United Arab Emirates, after Israeli judoka Sagi Muki won a gold medal at the Judo Grand Competition in Abu Dhabi in October 2018. In a shocking tweet back in October 2018, Israeli journalist Eddie Cohen claimed that an Emirati pilot took part in the bombing of Palestinian targets in the Gaza Strip during his training on Israeli Air Force F-35 fighters. In one of the latest steps towards normalizing ties with Israel at an official level, UAE Minister of Foreign Affairs Abdullah bin Zayed wished in late September a Happy New Year to the Jews, tweeting Shana Tova, a Hebrew wish.
בממשלה אתמול ראינו ביטוי פומבי נוסף להתחממות היחסים בין ישראל למדינות ערב. שר החוץ של איחוד האמירויות, עבדאללה בן זאייד, דיבר על ברית חדשה במזרח התיכון, ברית ישראלית ערבית. זוהי תוצאה ישירה של המדיניות שלנו, שהופכת את ישראל לכוח עולה באזור ולכוח עולה בעולם.
The arrival of a large Israeli delegation in Expo 2020 Dubai, however, is a major milestone. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has described the Israeli pavilion in the Expo as part of the continued progress of normalization with the Arab states.
To be part of the Expo in the Emirates, it means bringing more business. It means the Arab wealth will go to Israel. It means the Arabs will have to visit Israel. and invest in Israel and finance and bring jobs opportunity to Israeli companies. And that is the normalization of the relationship between the Emirates and the Israel.
At the same time, the Emirates' all-weather ally, namely Saudi Arabia, intends to buy long-range spike missiles from Israel's Rafael company, according to Israel Defense magazine. A poignant reminder that the normalization process goes hand in hand with the gradual abandonment of the Palestinian cause.
We know that Saudi Arabia is buying with hundreds of billions of dollars from the US. Therefore, buying weapons from Israel, particularly weapons that last with the limited time, and that is 10 years, it's symbolic rather than a necessity to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia declared war on Yemen. It's the poorest country. It doesn't need Israeli weapons and Israeli armament to reinforce its military power. It is just to increase the level of relationship and to normalize more the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Israel.
This bitter fact is reflected in the Saudi pressure on Palestinian authorities to accept the pro-Israel peace plan, which the Trump administration would like to call the deal of the century. Fact check 3. How much did Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman offer Palestinian Authority Chief Mahmoud Abbas in return for accepting Trump's so-called peace proposal? $10 billion, equal to the state of Palestine's GDP. In a similar move, in 2018, Saudi Arabia expressed interest in buying Israel's anti-missile Iron Dome system, according to a report in the Swiss paper Basler Zeitung.
There are many meetings between the Saudis and the Israeli officials in Washington, D.C. in many occasions. And buying weapons from the Israelis means a lot, because that means there will be Israeli military experts visiting Saudi Arabia and offering not only spare parts, but also training and more military cooperation between the two countries.
A year before, in November 2017, then Israeli military chief of staff Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot advocated in an interview with the Saudi paper an Israeli-Saudi alliance against Iran through the sharing of intelligence and other means. In the words of Eisenkot, in this matter there is complete agreement between us and Saudi Arabia.
There is a relationship today between most of the Gulf countries and Israel. This normalization means that the Arabs have dropped the most important thing, which is the Palestinian cause, and that was manifested with the deal of the century offered by the Americans and suggested by the Israelis to get rid of the Palestinian cause and put an end to the return of the Palestinians. And the Gulf countries, mainly led by Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, are the main instigators and the leaders who are pushing forward the end of the Palestinian cause. And this means a lot to Israel and means a lot to the Palestinians. And the Palestinians will certainly not abandon their cause, but will abandon Saudi Arabia and the Emirates.
The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia are constructing an ugly triangle with the Israeli regime at the apex. This ugly triangle will not take shape without betraying the Palestinian cause and endangering the region as a whole.
والله أنهم مقاتلون وأعلنهم على جزيرة العرب